thing you're crying about right now is this thing I thought of at a coffee shop. Welcome. It's a very special Q&A this afternoon. Ira and I are doing 28 Q&As today. We have some, not today, but this weekend. So please welcome some special guests. Ira Glass, a producer. One of our stars, Tami Sagher. And then our super special guest moderator, unannounced, Judd Apatow. Who literally just generously showed up and was just like, yeah, I'll do this, yeah, we can talk.
I truly had nothing to do.
And by the way, my impersonation of you is just Bill Hader's impersonation of you. It's just me.
It's vicious and nasal.
I don't think it is vicious. It's very loving. He used to do it on the set of Trainwreck.
How's it go?
It's just like, yeah, I'll come by. This seems so, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll give it.
That's an Ed Wynn to it. How do you guys like the movie? It was pretty good. I was an MC at the Improv in Los Angeles for many years, so I'll rev up a crowd.
I was an MC for many years at the Comic Strip Live on the Upper East Side.
Were you?
So yeah, it was all right. You know, I got better over time, but I definitely, you know, you get to know everybody. You know, people go like, "Do you know Louis?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." I'd bring him on stage like 6 nights a week at the Comic Strip. So you know, you kind of, you know, that's when Aziz came up. Aziz was like. When I was an MC at the at the Comic Strip, Aziz was like 19 or like 18, and he was like, and I remember being like, this guy at St. Lucian who ran the club and has now passed away. I'm like, this guy Aziz, he's like terrible, and Lucian goes, well, that's how he talks. It's an impersonation of someone you don't know. He would go, well, in my experience, when people come when they're 17, 18, 19 years old, Adam Sandler and Eddie Murphy, and the list goes on and on, and they end up figuring it out. He did say that, and it was true. It was of Aziz, of course, and those other guys, too.
I remember seeing Sarah Silverman when she was 18 years old, and also Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Chappelle was like doing it at 15. He was no joke. He was.
Something in them that you felt like, oh, there's something special there, or there was nothing.
Oh yeah, I think that you like immediately thought, this is how funny they are at 18. I mean, I feel like Pete Davidson is like that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Saturday Night Live, he's 22, and I think back on how funny we were at 22, and it was not good.
It was not that, yeah.
Oh, Seth Rogen we met when he was. It was 16.
No way.
Yeah, we just got a tape of him reading this scene. We wrote a Freaks and Geeks generic freak scene that we'd have everybody read. It was all about a kid talking about how he was going to grow pot underground. And then if the cops came, he would blow the entrance cave. And we just got a tape, and we were like, who the fuck is that guy? And then he turned out to be funny. So you started doing improv in college?
Yeah, when I was a freshman in college, I was cast in the improv group, and weirdly before that, like I felt like I had no friends at college, or no one that I felt like these are my people, you know. And then when I met the improv group, it was like 10 of us, and it was like, oh, I love all of these people, and I really felt like it was my home.
I felt like that when I moved to Los Angeles. I was obsessed with comedy, and no one in my high school liked comedy or cared at all. And then I remember dragging in 1983 my friend Satoshi Fujita to a Letterman taping, and the guest was Robert Klein, and Satoshi was not excited. But then I came to Los Angeles, and I always describe it like being. Do you remember the Blind Melon video for No Rain with the bee girl?
Do we ever?
Yeah. The bee girl runs out in the field, and there's like 100 other bees, and that's what it felt like to join comedy. Was that like what it was for you? Oh my God, you're crying again.
It's
I just haven't stopped.
Yeah. I always think of it as like the Smashing Pumpkins video for Today, where they're driving the ice cream truck, and I'm in the ice cream truck.
I felt like that. I came from math, so I was majoring in math.
Literally math.
Yeah.
Like geometry, algebra, math, in case anyone's confused.
More like calculus, abstract algebra, but sure.
You know, pluses and minuses, you know, add, addition, subtraction, that kind of thing. Word problems.
But I remember meeting the improv group at my school, and all of a sudden I was funny. I felt like I had never been funny before, and then I found people to do bits with, and I suddenly became funny and just felt like myself for the first time.
Yeah.
Why do you think the movie is so? It's very, very emotional. What do you think the core of that is?
I think raise your hand if you felt emotional at the end of the movie. Okay, good. Well, the one thing about doing Q&As, which is weird, is that like if you didn't like it, like can you imagine how horrible it would be to listen to someone answer questions? It's like, oh, you didn't like that? Well, let me tell you how I made it.
Pluto Nash Q&As.
What's emotional to me about it, I can't watch the movie anymore because I cry every time, and I don't mind crying, you know, once a week, but every day is just too much, especially when it's about your own movie, and it's the leaving of a group. It feels like it reminds me of so many things in my life. Leaving my family to go to college, leaving my college friends to go to New York, leaving you guys now to go to eat pizza. There's so many things it reminds me of, and so I get really choked up.
I feel like I'm a person hoarder. Like when Freaks and Geeks was canceled, which was like our version of like the group breaking up. First, I had a major back surgery. I just developed a herniated disc from just the stress and the emotion of it. And then I thought, how do I keep the group together? And then we did another show called Undeclared about college. But really, it was just a way to not end Freaks and Geeks. And then that got canceled, and then we made Knocked Up with everybody, and then Superbad. Like it's really just trying to keep the band together, even though just naturally it has to split apart.
You were talking about this earlier today, how you cried through the last like 20 minutes of the film, and then we were talking about it, like you had the experience that
he literally had
you
the
literally
experience
had the
where his roommate was Adam Sandler.
Right. Could you just been talking
I
about
didn't
that?
quite realize that the whole last 2 years we've been talking about this movie. Like I never said that to you.
No.
When you.
I pitched it to you on the
script.
set of Trainwreck, and you're like, yeah, that sounds great. I love that. You know, Judd used to taunt me on the set of Trainwreck, where he would have the director's chair, and he'd be like, you want to sit here? How'd you like to sit here? And it crushed me.
But anyway, like yeah, so you had the experience at the Comedy House where you were like roommates with Sam.
Yeah.
Right? It just and yeah.
Well, that's the thing that happens in comedy is there are certain people that are clearly very special, and then there's a lot of other people.
That should be on the poster.
And sometimes you realize, oh, I'm the other people. So I met Adam Sandler when he was still maybe last year of college. I went to the comic strip, and he was performing. And Adam used to wear sweatpants every night. He didn't have many jokes. He would wear sweatpants on stage. And then he would go, here's my impression of Baryshnikov. And then he would pull his sweats up really high so you could see his balls.
And his comedy hasn't changed. I mean,
and he was just so funny, like just such a knucklehead, funny kid. Like you just went like, oh, that guy is going to be a huge star. And then we lived together, and I would always feel that level of interest in him. And then one day he said, I'm going to Chicago to audition for Saturday Night Live. And I literally felt bad for him. I thought, this guy does no characters, no voices, he mumbles through his whole act. This is not going to happen. And then he came back and he said, yeah, I got it. And I was like, that's great, man. It's really great. It's really great. And then he would always try to get me a job, just like the movie, as a writer. And he gave all my writing James Downey, the head writer, and then Rob Schneider was there, and Rob Schneider cock-blocked me and said, I don't think he's ready.
Oh my
And
God.
he blocked me. Yeah.
Is page 6 here?
And then we were talking about this, you stopped performing.
And then I kind of stopped performing because I kept getting writing work, and I thought, I don't think I'm as funny as Sandler. I don't think people want
And
to
so
watch
he
me
gets-
and Billy Madison.
So he gets on Saturday Night Live and you
Yeah.
quit performing, and it's
Yeah.
so exactly the movie.
Yeah.
But there's two things I want to point out. One is like you didn't get bitter. Like, did you make a decision
Yeah,
to
that's
not be
true.
bitter?
Not
No,
only
I
is he
decided
not
to get
bitter, but he's
rich
kind of
instead.
no, but I would say famously not bitter. Like if anyone who's worked with Judd, they know like he doesn't trash other comics ever, and which is one of comics' favorite things to do.
Yeah, no, I like comics and I like comedy, and I always feel like sometimes I have to make comedy just to be allowed to hang out with comedians. And that's the only reason why I do it. It's not the other way around. I'm like, I have a story to tell. I'm just like, oh, I better make something sooner, or my thing will be over, then I can't really call anybody.
The other thing that I love about your story though now is you are performing again,
Yeah, I've been doing the stand-up.
which I also just love because we get, especially I feel like in my 20s is when I had the most absolutes of like, it's gotta happen now, it's gotta happen that way, that it happened
Yeah.
for that other person, and since it's not happening that way, it will never happen. And just life is a lot longer, and
Yeah. Well, not for me because I'm not in good shape, but for other people.
Wait, by the way, this is what I noticed. Are you crying still from the movie?
A little bit of both.
Oh, okay. Okay. Does anyone have questions about the movie? Because I want to stay focused on if you guys have anything that's burning inside you. Go ahead. Oh, the lime-colored shirt.
I was just
Person.
wondering, improv, a movie about improv is a very interesting topic. How did you think of that?
So, the question is, how did you think of a movie about improv? And I started doing it in college, and then a few years ago, after I directed Sleepwalk with Me, which was my first movie, I started to go back in my head and think about like, how did I even make it through this? I mean, you probably had that when you directed your first movie where you were like, it's so much harder than you think it's gonna be. And I realized that it was the principles of improv, like don't think, and it's all about the group and say yes, that these principles of collaboration that actually got me through it. And so I started doing it more improv, and that's when Tami and I started working together and Mad. And Chris Gethard, who's in the movie, and then we started having like a regular Wednesday show, and then at one point I sort of came up with this idea for it. Go ahead, gentleman with glasses.
Yeah. What were the challenges of making improv work on the movie screen?
Excellent voice projection.
First of all, excellent voice projection. Second of all, the question is, how did you make it work on the big screen, improv? That was actually one of me and my cinematographer's goals, was how do we sort of immortalize this ephemeral art form that's very hard to capture. And we thought, why don't we shoot it like a dance scene or a fight scene where it's shooting on Steadicam, and the camera operator is sort of the seventh member of the commune, and so the camera operator sort of weaves in and out, and we got better at it as
Were
we
there
went.
crowds there when you did it
Yeah,
all
we
the
got
time?
crowds. So
And
like
would they distract them, or would they laugh?
yeah, they were really supportive. We kind of let them in on it. We're like, guys, some of this stuff we're gonna repeat over and over and act like it's the first time, and some of these things are gonna be improvised. So just have fun and enjoy it and take it in, and
Was that an improv crowd, or you paid extras to watch?
both. So with Sleepwalk with Me, one of the things that really frustrated me in the edit was that a lot of the extras were kind of like fake,
comedy
like
scenes.
in the comedy scenes, stand-up comedy scenes would like fake laugh, and it was like that's not what we want. We want real laughter. And so I said to my line producer Danielle, like, we need real audience members, and she was like, well, the union won't let us have real audience members. I'm like, well, the union should want to. They want SAG audience members, and I'm like, well, don't they want to support film being good? Really it is frustrating sometimes with unions, because sometimes they do wonderful things, but then sometimes they get in the way of doing things as well as you can do them. And so the compromise we made with the union was you can pay 50 extras, and then past that, you can get whoever you want to kind of fill it in. So it was a mixture of paid extras
And you
and
put on your
fans.
Facebook,
I just put it on my Facebook page, and
so it would be a lot of Birbiglia fans.
yeah. So it was and a lot of people, like a lot of improv groups from like this improv group from Philly, from the Philadelphia Improv Theater, came to town, and it was a good bunch of people. And in between takes, like Keegan, who is like the opposite of someone who has a movie star attitude of being like, I'm going to be in my trailer in between setups, like he would like entertain the audience at all times. And you know, part of that was we couldn't afford trailers, but we were really lucky. I think he was sort of a team captain.
Yeah. And then there was improv that you would do in those things. Like you had some of the improvs, you had plot points you need to hit, but then other ones were real improv. And there's some really funny stuff Keegan would do that just wasn't, just didn't end up in the film. Like,
Well, at one point, you mean the Cosby thing?
yeah.
Well, at one point, I said,
Hey, be cool, Cosby's a good guy.
well, at one point, I wanted to get a shot of the audience, but I knew that if we were doing what we had rehearsed and they'd heard before, they wouldn't laugh truly. So I just said to Keegan, like, can you just do Obama, like in a press conference, and then me and Tami and these other guys will just say questions at a press conference, and then Tami asked the funniest question, which was, she knew from working in Second City with Keegan.
You know, it was a Mad TV thing, actually. It was an old Mad TV bit that I'd written for him that he'd actually reminded me of a week earlier, which was, who would win in Alien versus Predator, I think? No.
I think you did ask him that. You totally asked him that. No, but you
asked him to do
raised your
Cosby.
question in the fake press conference, and the camera's rolling on the audience, and Keegan's standing there. And the question you said is, Mr. President, I understand that you've been working on your Bill Cosby imitation, and then Keegan did Obama doing Cosby. It wasn't his actual.
Yeah.
It was like if Obama were to do Cosby.
So it was like, so he was like Obama doing Cosby, so it was something to the effect of like, now look, I've been working on this impersonation, J-E-L-L-L-O. You know, like he went from Obama into Cosby, and people just lost their shit at the idea that Obama would do Cosby. I mean, certainly Cosby would do Obama, but I don't know if
Maybe he was asleep.
I may not ever say that
I have a question.
again. Yeah.
How did you come up with, and can you talk a little bit about Chris's father getting sick in the movie?
So Bill's dad storyline came from this thing where my friend Ptolemy, his dad, I remember in our 20s, his dad ended up in the hospital, and he had like a speech thing not unlike that, and Ptolemy said, you know, he would explain to us, like he would be like, thank you, and then we started, you know, because we're so sad about it. You know, a lot of times like comedians make light of things because otherwise you'd cry all day. It's too sad. So we just, every once in a while, we'd be like, thank you, you know, and it became this running joke. And when I wrote the script, I called Ptolemy, I go, do you mind if I use this in this film I'm writing? And he was like, yeah, but I don't think anyone will laugh at that. And then when he saw the premiere a few weeks ago in LA, he was like, that it's amazing that the science of that joke, like it shouldn't work. There's no reason people should be laughing, but they do.
Wait, so you put the dad into the movie so you could do the thank you joke?
Yeah. There's a little backwards engineering there. That was sort of what led me to that, yeah. But thank you guys. We that's all the time we have. But thank you guys so much for being here with us on our opening weekend. This movie means so much to us, and that's why we're doing all these Q&As. And Judd so generously popped in. And if you like the movie, tell your friends, please, because the advertising budget is you. In other words, there isn't one, and so if you like it, tell 2 friends, or tweet at Don't Think Movie, or like it on Facebook. in this weekend too, like tell them, like, because it affects, like, if we'll be able to go to more cities.
Like other theaters look at how we do in the opening weekend, and so if we get good numbers in the opening weekend, more theaters book the film. So if you tell your friends, tell them to come this weekend, and if they don't come this weekend, tell them to come.
And we so appreciate it. Thanks for being a part of this. It's something that I will remember forever. So thank you guys so much.